Hello, fellow science enthusiasts. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I am Robert. I'm a dude that does some science things for a university. I did my undergraduate degree in biological systems engineering and mathematics. But after doing research for a while, I fell in love with a new field, physics. Thus, I want to become a physics PhD student in the fall of 2023. This will be the first video I post, and it is a vlog slash study plan slash accountability plan that I will be doing in preparation for the physics GRE, which I will be taking this fall. Woo! It will be coming out weekly, and I will discuss the things I am doing, the materials I'm studying, the general plan of attack, and how I plan to improve. Now, without further ado, let's jump into it. First, let's break down the physics GRE. The intent of this test is to determine your preparedness for graduate school in physics by testing your knowledge about the typical undergraduate physics coursework. This is broken down into 9 sections that I'll cover briefly. The first section will be classical mechanics. This will include kinematics, Newton's law, work and energy, oscillatory motion, rotational motion, all that fun stuff. It gets into the Lagrangians and Hamiltonian formalisms. Some stuff with non-inertial reference frames, and that's going to make up about 20% of the exam. So it's a big chunk, but it's just your classical stuff, The next is going to be electromagnetism, such as electrostatics, currents, DC circuits, magnetic fields in free space, and the likes of that. Optics and wave phenomena are going to make up 9%. This is going to be mostly geometric optics. Yeah, then there's going to be thermodynamics and statistical mechanics, which is going to make up 10%. Then you're going to have 12% into quantum mechanics, 10% atomic physics, 6% special relativity, 9% specialized topics, which is going to be just a bunch of assortments of different things. And down in the link below, you'll be able to find the exact breakdown from the ETS website. And I'll provide any of the resources that I mentioned, like ISBNs for textbooks that I'm going to be studying from, or like Amazon links to the books that I'm working through. And I'll keep you guys posted on how that goes. So my approach to how I'm going to study for the physics GRE is going to be multifaceted. Right? I'm going to be studying from textbooks, and I'm going to be studying from some material that was created specifically for this. The specific material that I'm going to be looking at for the physics GRE is I'm going to be using this GRE physics practice questions. It's got 6 sample exams, and it's got a bunch of problems for each of the aforementioned sections. It looks like it's going to be slightly easier, but it's going to be like a good way to warm up, just get my foundation laid, right? So I won't expect this to be an exact replication of what you're going to see on the exam, but I will be taking the exams and improving it, the areas specified here, and work through the problem sets inside of this. The next one, this one comes highly recommended from anything that I've ever seen. There's plenty of physics majors, PhD students, and the likes that said that book had really helped them. And if you go on to any online forums, a lot of them say, yes, conquering the physics GRE is a lifesaver. If you look at the reviews on Amazon, and it looks like it covers things at a slightly more challenging depth, and it's got 3 sample exams that I will be going through. And inside of there's sections for each of these where they go over the basics of, well, not just the basics. They try to give a high-level overview of each of the topics. And so I'll be working through that. And it has 3 sample exams in the back, and I'll be taking those sample exams as I go through it. They also recommend some textbooks to study from themselves for each of the sections, and I will not specifically mention those, but I'll put it down below, and there are some other links that could be helpful. The textbook also, or not this textbook, the practice material also has a section on helpful tips and special things that you can do to more quickly solve the problems, because this is going to be 100 questions in 3 hours, and that's going to be a bit difficult, so you have a very short time. But anyway, it's about 3 hours. So I think it's 2 hours and 50 minutes. Now, for the textbooks I'll be working through, I will be working through Classical Mechanics by Taylor, E&M by or Introduction to Electrodynamics by Griffiths. I'm going to be using Introduction to Quantum Mechanics by Griffiths. For my statistical mechanics, I'll be using a textbook by Tucker. For optics, I'll be using the Pedrotti Cubed book, although that one seems to be significantly more comprehensive than what is required for the physics GRE. But like these textbooks, I'm just studying through, not just for the ability to pass this exam, right? The idea is that the material should supplement my understanding to the point where I could get a decent grade on it. But for the textbooks I'm going to be working through, I really want to emphasize understanding. I've already been studying through classical mechanics and introduction to electrodynamics, as those make up the biggest portion of the exam, and I don't think that I'll be able to, by September, finish working through each of the textbooks, but that doesn't matter, right? The idea is that I just keep working through them so that I can get an understanding of the material and understand physics, hopefully, because that's the end goal. Regardless of what happens, none of this time will be wasted, because this time will be spent understanding a subject that I love. Here is the plan. I'm about 19 weeks out from the exam at the time of recording this video, which is still a far away, but it's deceptive. It's actually a lot closer than you think. 19 weeks can fly by if you don't have a strategy and a plan to attack it from then. And what I plan to do is continue studying my textbooks, obviously. Keep working on those. In addition, I will be taking one of the practice exams every Sunday, right? So I'll start out with the easier exams, or the exams that I think might be easier. Then I'll find there are a couple of online previous exams, and there's a practice exam from ETS, and I'll also use in front of me the sampled exams at the back of the Conquering Physics GRE. And each week I will also be working through a chapter of the Conquering Physics GRE, right? So that means that I'll be reading through the pages, doing the problems from each of the sections, and working through that. And then after each of my exams, I'm going to assess what areas I did well in and which areas I did poorly in, and I will be working through the associated problems inside of not the Conquering Physics GRE, but the Physics GRE practice problems, because they have different sections with like 100 problems for each of the topics, and I'll be working through that and working through their guided explanations as well. And then if I see significant improvement, I will look at the next lowest thing on the exams, and hopefully I will trend upwards in all of these exams that I'm taking, and I'll continue to do better and better. And the goal, or the dream, would be to be able to eke my way into the 75th percentile. But, that is, I'll be shooting for the 99th percentile, but 75th is like, I think I can, that's realistic. I think I could make that. And then, continue working through the textbooks. Like I said, at the end of all of these practice exams, I'll be about 6 weeks out. And yeah, so after all of this is done, after all of this large amount of studying is done, what I plan to do is continue making videos on this channel. But it's gonna be a different tone, right? there's going to be sillier videos where I do use physics to come up with some funny stuff. And I will also like to make short bios for each of the Nobel Prizes and the associated physicists, and for certain times of the month, or not certain times of the month, certain times of the year, I would like to make very brief bios on lesser known physicists, who have influenced and helped shape the landscape that are lesser known. And there might even be some contemporary ones in there, some that are still out there practicing. But the idea is just to like go through the history, learn about each of the Nobel Prizes and how they were won and all that kind of fun stuff, and also shed light onto some great physicists that don't get recognition for whatever reason. But yeah, and until next time, peace.